This is really one of the only family stories that we have, and makes me sad. I don't know why there aren't a lot of them, or they haven't been dug up yet. But this one has always been there, alive and well and kicking. And it's about my great-great-grandfather, whose name was Robert McKee Round, and he was 16 or 17 years old when the Civil War started. And he was very, very eager to go serve his country in the Union Army. He lived in Ohio. And the story goes that when he was 17 years old, he was dying to enlist, and you had to be 18 to enlist. So what he did before he went into the enlistment office one day was take a little piece of paper and write the number 18 on it and stick it in his shoe. And then he showed up to the enlistment office, and the officer asked him, "How old are you, son?" And he said, "Well, sir, I'm standing on 18. And so he was let into the Army on that ruse, which he claims all his life was not a lie, just a little squib. And he was led into the Army and actually went to boot camp until his parents tracked him down and found him and came back to the camp and got him and brought him home. And he went off to college, which was their plan for him. I think it was Antioch College in Ohio. And then when he was old enough, 18, he and a number of his classmates enlisted in the Army. And he became General Sherman's bugle boy and led the charge through Georgia, the March to the Sea, and playing the bugle all along. And he always took pride when he spoke about his experience later that he never even fired a weapon once. So not only did he never shoot or kill anyone, but he never even fired a weapon. And I think what he saw in the war really changed him a lot, because when he came back and went to work in upstate New York as a banker, I think, at the age of 21, he gave up drinking and smoking and sugar and meat and gave up an enormous amount of the worldly pleasures and just lived a really clean life, eating only vegetables, fruits, things like that. So what he did eat for protein was pecans, specifically Georgia pecans, which he had first tasted on Sherman's March to the Sea. And for special occasions like birthdays and desserts, since he didn't eat sugar or sweets, he had to have Georgia peaches. And there were many of these special occasions throughout his life because he grew to the ripe old age of 104 years old. And all during that time, every year, he sent a box of cigars to this home of wounded Confederate soldiers. He never bore a grudge. I think he only fought in that war to keep the Union together. And he felt badly about what he had seen and what we had done to Confederate soldiers on the way. So when he was 100 years old, I think he was the Grand Marshal of the Union Army. He was one of the only ones left. And my father went to his birthday party, and he got up to play taps and apparently put his bugle to his lips and began to play it, and he began to turn blue. And my father was a young medical student. He was very worried that this would be his grandfather's final hours. But it wasn't. He lived 4 more years to the ripe old age of 104 years old.